is the last part of my lecture today, so I'm going to go a little bit deeper into the benefits, sustainable benefits, and limits of S.PSS, or Sustainable Product Service System. We already understood something, but I want to highlight them a bit better so that you more clearly understand them. So, to sum up, S.PSS as a win-win opportunity for sustainability. Then why we have benefits in terms of the environmental dimension, for the socioethical dimension, for the economic and competitive dimension, and then something about the sustainability of PSS. I took away the S. If not, it would be a sustainable PSS. So we speak about product service system as a mix of product and services. When they are sustainable, we add the S, okay? So we call that investor. PSS is commonly used. We have a course here, for example, which is called Product Service System Design. Some of you may be part of that, but when you design a product service system, it's not said that it is sustainable at all. Many times, it could be even more unsustainable, and you can create even more damage than just creating or designing a product, because the amplitude of the innovation is higher, so even the possibility of making disaster is higher. So it's even more important to know how to design for sustainability. And then something about the barrier of the diffusion of S.PSS. So if they are win-win business model, why they are not so diffused? Why they are not the new paradigm? So S.PSS as win-win opportunity for sustainability. As we said before, we conclude basically with this. This is S.PSS is promoting business paradigm shift that has some potential of joining and putting together the economic, together with the environmental, together with the socio-ethical benefits. Or basically where the economic driver, the economic benefit foster even the environmental and the socio-ethical one. So, and where we are the environmental benefit? And when an S.PSS is eco-efficient, you want to tell me something? I don't. When is decoupling, or because it's decoupling, economic and interest from the resource consumption and environmental impact increase. We are speaking about eco-efficiency, environmental dimension. So eco-efficiency, environmental and economic efficiency. About the socio-ethical benefit, we will speak later. Okay? And then why and when, and we will see. And since this is why producer or provider of S.PSS want to design product with a low environmental impact. All the mix of products, actually the services that are part of this offer. So let's say first eco-efficient potential. So there could be S.PSS offer model, some characteristics. Then we will see the environmental benefit, the economic benefit, and the implication in terms of eco-efficient product life cycle design. Okay. So if in this case I take this part of an S.PSS offer model, the offering, the provider are offering product, retaining the ownership and being paid per unit of satisfaction, or offering with the first type of PSS, product oriented, in which you are actually selling the product, but with a full package of service, adding life cycle services product, like maintenance, repair, substitution, and so on. So if this happens, we may have an environmental benefit, as we saw before, to extend the life of the product, which was interesting. So the longer the product or its component lasts, and this is the environmental benefits, but the longer this happens, what happened for you in terms of economical benefits, economic benefits? As long as it is last, why it is interesting in economic terms? The longer the product or the components, the product lasts, the more the producer and the provider avoid the disposal cost. The longer it lasts, since it remains in the ownership, the longer it lasts, I have to pay the cost of disposal later and later. So I avoid or I postpone this cost. Okay? Because it's my product. And I avoid the cost of the pre-production, production, and distribution of the product that I have to give. I have to reproduce if it doesn't last long to the customer that actually is paying per use, or per time, per watt, per whatever. So I avoid those costs, the disposal cost and the pre-production, production cost of the product that is not working anymore. Say, I have to dispose of. Okay? That is an environmental benefit, and that is the economic benefit. So the economic benefit push towards this. So the implication in terms of design is that the producer is driven by economic interest to design for lifespan extension of product. Okay? We are summing up, but with more clear example, something that we said before. Okay? First. Second, potential. Selling a shared use of product, like car sharing, you see there, the side, for example, the light, that product, or could be a shared use of some components or other things to various users. We have an environmental benefit, which is given by the fact that more the products are intensively used. The car sharing could be used once, then it wait for 1 day, no one is using, and then is using another time. More is intensively used, better it is, because there are more people using this. It means there are less cars around. Clear? Because more people are using those for their satisfaction. They want to move and so on. So if it's more intensively used, it's better. It's better even for other reasons, but I don't go into this detail now. But why this is linked to an economic benefit? Can you guess here? More is used, so if that car sharing, if the car are used, like when I stop it and I want to go and stick, and then another one stick, and then another one stick. So it's almost doesn't stop any time, but because it's used by very many persons, it's more intensively used. Why it's good in economic terms for the provider. Should be easy now. If the car is used once for 1 minute, then you wait 1 year. It's used another minutes after 1 year. The provider say, okay, I bankrupt because I don't get any money. Okay. I have to tell you, the most intensively used, the higher is the profit. Because of course, if that car is used, the car sharing are used all the time, anytime it's used, so I'm getting money almost for all the time. If a car is stopped there, I don't get the money, so it's my profit is lower. My profit is higher if I design such a service and product that is really very well and very often used. But this is environmentally sustainable. So the profit, the company is interested in intensifying the use to improve the profit, but this is good for the environment. Okay? It's clear? Easy to say. So the producer is driven by economic interest to design for intensive use of product. And we saw before the life cycle design guidelines. We remember the first part. Yeah. So we'll go back to look at that afterwards. Third, if we are selling all-inclusive, the access to product and the resources it consuming use, as in the case of paper wash, you remember, with a payment that is based on unit of satisfaction, the wash, one wash, with the producer that remain the owner of the same product. The environmental benefit, where is? I have an environmental benefit when I have the best technology, the most efficient technology to wash, to consume less energy, less water, less detergent. In this case, it was easier to save less energy because we had the energy supplies there inside. Let's say less energy. So, of course, for environmental reason, for every wash, if I consume less energy, it's better. Clear. Okay. Why this is an economic interest for the company? We said this almost an example before. The higher the efficiency of the system, as less is consuming per wash in terms of energy, the higher is the profit. The payment, as he correctly said, minus, among other, the cost of the source, in this case, the energy used. Okay, so I get the money per wash minus my profit, minus the cost of the energy that is used, because I'm paying this energy, me, provider. It's clear? Yes, so I want to have the best efficiency and continuously want to improve that because I'm into that mechanism, right? So again here, in terms of designing, to design and offer product minimizing resource consumption and use. So this is fostered by an economic interest of the manufacturer, the provider. Fourth, this is more related to energy, but energy, and you will see in some lecture that we will have next. Sustainability for all is a key leverage for sustainability. The access to energy is really, really, really important. It's a key leverage. So if I'm selling energy as all-inclusive, so as in the case they are offering actually solar panel, or actually they are offering solar panel in even the lighting system, but this is not the point here. And the energy source, so I'm selling to someone a small generator unit to produce the energy, or I'm offering this, and together with this, I'm offering, I'm saying, as in the case before, the source of energy, the source to produce the energy in this case. And the payment is per period or per time or per satisfaction. Here, it depends on, because you may have a diesel generator, for example. You offer a diesel generator which is using diesel, so you should you offer the diesel generator, maybe as a PSS, you pay the ownership, and then you pay the diesel that is needed to produce the energy, and you are paid per time or per kilowatt hour or something like this by the person. But the higher the use of passive renewable source of energy, passive, it means that you don't have to do it like sun or wind. It's there, and they are renewable, or water. I just, I don't have to take the oil, spill the oil, and do other things and take it there and something like this. So if I'm using passive and renewable energy, basically it's not a cost. It's there. The sun is there. The wind is coming, right? So the higher the use of passive and renewable energy resources, the higher is the profit, because the payment, the profit is gained by the payment, what people are paying to me, minus, among others, okay, there are even other costs of maintenance and so on, but minus the cost of those resources that are not non-renewable and non-passive. If I have to, it's an hybrid system that is partly diesel and partly solar powered. With the solar, I don't have to pay. There is no cost. If I have the diesel, I have to deliver the diesel there. I pay the diesel myself if the offer is made in this way. So I'm interested in moving as much as possible toward passive and renewable energy resources, because I gain more. I don't have to pay. The sun is there. As far as now, we don't pay the sun. Who knows in the near future? We are already paying the water. This is an awful thing. We may be speaking one day. The implication in terms of life cycle design is that the producer, again, provider, or for economic interest, interested in designing and offering passive renewable resource optimization. Again, one of the life cycle design strategies of before. 4. If I'm selling an all-inclusive, as all-inclusive, the product with end-of-life treatment, I'm selling this product or offering this, and I'm saying within a full package, all-inclusive, when this will be disposed of, whether it's your owner, maybe it's in your ownership, or maybe I save the ownership, the same, but I will take care of the end of life. This is part of a PSS model offer. Environmental benefit is, of course, if you think about this, as much we are able to recycle material, to recover energy, or to make compost, that is the case of the material that we have there, better it is for the environment. And why there is an economic incentive in moving more and more toward material recycling, energy recovery, and producing compost. If I say it's an all-inclusive, I'm saying to you, okay, I give you this product, whatever it is, to be a car, a share, and either I'm saving the ownership or I'm giving this to you. It's in your own ownership. But as a full package, whatever it is, I will take care about the end of life treatment. So I come by you and I take the chair, I take the car, I take whatever it is, and I take it by me in my own facilities, my own plants. I'm interested in what? If I recycle, or if I recover energy, or if I compose, what I can avoid the cost of landfilling. If I design this, so more it is recyclable, more I avoid the cost of landfilling. More it is, if it is the case, I can recover energy. I don't have to landfill again this, as well as compost. On the other side, I avoid the cost of buying, if I have those here, the new material. because I have a recycled material that I can use. If I can use this, I don't have to buy new material, so I avoid this cost. I avoid the cost. If I produce some energy, I avoid the cost of buying the energy. If I need some compost, that is the case, I avoid the cost of buying compost. So more the material either recycled, incinerated with energy recovery or composted, the more economical benefit are the avoided costs for both landfilling and material purchasing, energy purchasing, and compost purchasing. Okay. Again here, it's quite clear. We have an implication in terms of design. The producer provider is driven by economic interest to design for material life extension, as we said before. Material life extension is designed for recycling, energy recovery, and composting. Okay, you get the point. Sorry, I'm repeating again. These are all business models, and I'm showing you the different fragment of this to say that there is the economic driver that push this. So we don't have to wait the good guys of the economy, which are very, 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 very few. Very few. But if we are able to introduce this business model, diffuse this business model, even by design, you will see how to do it. That's really much, much more powerful because it's a business interest. Okay, so that makes sense, isn't it? Fourth, if I'm selling all-inclusive, because that could be the case, as for example, Kluber, because they have lubricants, some toxic or harmful product with the end-of-life treatment or management system or use treatment and management system. So as a full package, I'm selling this, but within the same price, I'm taking care of about end-of-life treatment of this toxic material, the residual, and the optimization and the reduction of emission during the use phase of this toxic material. The environmental benefit, the lower are the potential toxic emission in use and in end of life. I go myself now. The more the more are the avoided costs both for toxic treatment in use and end of life. So since this is if I'm offering this service as a management service for taking care about managing these toxic residuals, either in use or either, I will design everything to minimize the toxic emission of those. Okay, sometimes we have to deal with toxic, but we can do that, and we will see some examples in which that they can be treated in a way that is not harmful or toxic. Again, the producer has an economic incentive in designing for toxicity minimization. So to sum up, when a PSS is eco-efficient, when the producer ownership or the economic responsibility of the life cycle performance, this is the first case in which the ownership goes by the user, you remember, by the customer, product oriented. But I add services over the life cycle, maintenance, end-of-life treatment, and so on, as a full all-inclusive. When these remain by the producer or provider who is selling these as a unit of satisfaction rather than on only product, that is happening. And why this happened? Because this shift and allocate on the producer of the product, the manufacturer, the economic interest, this we saw at the beginning, the economic interest in designing product with a low environmental impact. So the point is, we have a business model in which we see that if we put, the point is that there is someone that is producing a product. So he is the one that decides, maybe asking the designer to design in a certain way. Okay? He's the one that at the end decides how to do that. If he has the interest in reducing the environmental impact, the economic interest, he will do that. So we have to understand and shift and allocate on the one that is producing the product or delivering the energy resources, or maybe the detergent or other things that are used by the product, the economic interest in reducing the environmental impact. So while thinking to the PSS, we have to take this into consideration. And the other thing is that, as a synthesis, adopting an S.PSS approach or business approach, the design for sustainability become, or product become something that is interesting. So as a synthesis, we are interested in product life span extension and user identification, in material life extension, in resource, either material and energy utilization, in resource, material and energy renewability and biocompatibility, resource, material and energy toxicity and minimization, and so on. I go on with the socioethical benefits because what is nice is that sustainable product service systems, they are not only eco-efficient. What does it mean, eco-efficient? They are environmentally and economically efficient. Okay? When we speak about eco-efficiency, we speak about this. Okay? We could speak about social efficiency, but I don't like that much. But nevertheless, why S.PSS has some socio-ethical benefits? And this starts from the point. I don't know whether to make a. Well, you remember that when I explained you the evolution of design for sustainability at the beginning, the understanding was that product service systems were eco-efficient only. So that was the starting point. So for several years, they were studying this on industrialized context and blah, blah. And in 2002, the United Nations Environmental Program asked, actually was part of that group of international researchers, listen, but are those, they were called eco-efficient product service systems, even interesting for socio-ethical dimension, even interesting for low and middle income context? And so at that time, it started the discussion. Now we know that this is true, so I don't have to make the whole story, make the story the other time, but I want just to remember you this. Now, we are going to say why. So they are even, they have socio-ethical benefit. And this is linked to the fact, that they are accessible to low and middle income context. People. And that makes, they can, improve the quality of life. They can help achieve the startup of small business and so on. So empower local communities and so on. And this is the socio-ethical benefit. So socio-ethical benefit. The point is that if we are selling the assets rather than the mere product and ownership, what happened? Why these are, we said already something before. I want to see if you remember. Why if we sell as an S.PSS, this is more accessible, maybe you were saying this before. Why this is more accessible to low and middle income people? So we avoid purchasing cost of product that are frequently too high for low income people. But this may give advantage to people that may have access to this. Okay? And selling the unit of satisfaction, including life cycle service cost. If I include life cycle serving cost in the offer, what's the problem during the course when I'm using a product for low-income people, what may happen, what I said before. If I don't have that much money and that car broke, what I do? I don't use it anymore. Car or a solar panel would be more interesting or useful for many things and so on. But if I offer this as an embedded cost, so it's already paid, it's all inclusive, so it's coming. So it's not a surprise. Oh my God, now I have to pay this. No, it's up to the producer. But actually, we designed this to minimize the cost of maintenance or whatever. So this is why it's a win-win. So it's reduce, avoid the running cost for maintenance, repair, upgrade, and so on. So it avoids the interaction of use caused by the fact that maybe they don't have the money to buy. Another thing, they are offering actually when they are serviced, it's not all the time, but they could be more labor intensive. Services are more labor intensive. Okay. And so these lead to we discussed this, so I'm telling this to you, to the involvement of local stakeholder more than global stakeholder, because local stakeholder are more close to the user. Okay, so they know much better the way, the cultural habits, and all the things, and so that it's good business in a sense because they are closer to the end user. And these end up in increasing employment in local and maybe community with unemployment, for employment as well as kids, and employ even increase kids. Offering access rather than selling working equipment, because it could be product that you use for your daily life, a washing machine or an oven or the like. But it could be a working equipment for a small business. Again, in this case, for a low-income people that want to start up a business, want to be an entrepreneur. Okay, where I find the money? I go to the bank asking the money. Give me a loan to buy the equipment. They say yes. Give me a guarantee about that. They say, there is microcredit, but in some cases, maybe you almost to develop this microcredit. But that's really very good. But even in this case, they don't have to pay the initial investment cost. For example, I may have a sewing machine for which I'm sound from Sword. Maybe I don't have the money to buy, but I can have it this together with the solar panel that is offered as an S.PSS. I have the electricity in this, and then I can start my business. When I start my business, to repair clothes, which is actually maybe quite well appreciated. And then I can pay and I can start, I can improve and so on. Okay. And so it's facilitated the startup of new business in learning companies. Then I come to all those actually were even many all the time we were linking environmental at the beginning with economic benefits, socioethical with economic. Here there are some just pure economic or competitive benefits. One is about the fact that we can differentiate the offer. We are in a very saturated market. Now we are even in economic crisis, so it's quite difficult. There are lots of products and it's difficult to sell them. And if we differentiate the offer, we open up to new market. And there are new possibilities. And we saw that this new possibility, even in this a period of economic crisis, which is investing, of course, much more low and middle income context, but even our context, even in Italy, these can represent actually a very interesting differentiation of the offer. Another economic and competitiveness is that you actually establish a longer relation with the customer because you are not just selling the product and full stop. Okay, we don't see anymore. Since you are offering a service, you are continuously in relation with your customer or the final user. And this helps you, if you are actually behaving well and honestly and effectively, to keep a good to rise fidelity and all this kind of thing. So that is good as well. So you don't stop the relation. You keep going to deal with this person or customer, whether it's final user or an intermediary. Said this is the nice part of the story. I have to say that there are some limits. The story is not all a dream, a real dream, because these are all facts. There is nothing that is not a fact. But since there are not S.PSS all around, it means that there are some limits. Some are related to unsustainability, and here I wrote PSS. I took away the S. Unsustainability. In fact, not all PSS, product service system, are sustainable. We are in a service economy, basically. You know, I don't know, the GDP in Europe is over 75%. So I don't know, in the US is even more, but even in emerging contexts, I mean, the service sector is really very strong. So we are in a service economy. Many things are product service system. If you think to a smartphone or mobile phone, when you go to buy them, they are offering as a PSS basically. They say to you, we offer you buy the product, and you offer the service of you can pay this, so it's financial service, so that you can pay this denationated in time, so you pay in 2 years the cost of the telephone, and this is a PSS. So, and you are paying, and together with this, with the product, you are buying even the service contract by the service company. Okay, so it's a PSS, product and services offered. Can we say that this is sustainable? Not at all. These are actually, okay, you can have access to this because you don't pay that much at the beginning. But then they are so obsolescent that after a while you don't realize them, you have to buy a new one, they don't last, they are very obsolescent, and so whatever, there is a tremendous amounts of waste of those products that they look thin, but they are quite impacting because of the battery content and other things that is there inside and so on. So this is a PSS, but it's whatever, but not sustainable. That means that we need to know what are really PSS that are sustainable, the sustainable PSS. At the same time, while designing, and we will see this, we need methods, criteria, tools to address design of product service system towards sustainable solution, either environmentally sustainable and socioethically sustainable. And you will be using these tools together with others because this has been developed. This is key important to know. Another thing is that not all sustainable product service systems are, in fact, sustainable product service systems are without any so-called rebound effect in terms of environmental sustainability. One thing is related, if this is a car sharing, is related to the fact that if that is not my product, maybe I don't care that much about the product. Okay, so I don't treat that, I don't care about a product so well, so maybe it won't last long as my own product or something like this. So there could be some careless behavior in relation to sustainable product service system. But that means, that doesn't mean that we have to stop this. Simply we have to be able to design in such a way that we can overcome these limits. Anytime we find a limit, it's just an inspiration. When I think to a limit as a designer, I just start to dream how to overcome this, come out with great innovation and solution. Okay, but this is actually a potential limit. Rebound effect. There could be others, but this was just to mention one. S.PSS barriers, why they are not so diffused. As I said before, PSS is nothing new. We are in the service economy, and there are lots of services, and many times services are together with product and so on. And even when they are sustainable product service system, so the type that we saw before, not the mobile phone also together with the services and so on. The point is, but Professor, if you said to me that they are win-win, why they are not so? Why we are not already in such a society and so on? Because there are some barriers that break this. On a user side, one barrier, especially in industrialized countries or context, or maybe other people can say the same for other, I speak for what I know better. There is a cultural shift that is needed. Many times we industrialize and high income countries, the ownership. I want to have my own car, my own washing machine. This is, embedded somehow in our culture. And so this shift needs to be overcome. But we have some sign that this is happening. And frankly speaking, if I have my own car and the average speed in the city is 12 kilometers per hour, then it breaks because then I have to deal about very many things and so on. Why it's worse a car sharing system in which I can take a very small car when I need to go to buy a few things. When I go to pick up my girlfriend or boyfriend, my English is more. I take a Rolls Royce because I have the chance to take this car. I mean, the possibility actually, so it's not said that to own a car is really, it's just that we are used, we have some habits about that. Something are changing. And into that, of course, designers have a great role to play to show and to design product service systems that are perceived, we speak about the aesthetic dimension of sustainability, that are perceived better than other solutions. And we have all the spaces of doing that. All the spaces of doing that. Right. And the other thing is the lack of knowledge about life cycle cost. Many times when we buy a printer, and it's 45 euros. You buy and it doesn't cost anything. Then you go back, you go to the shop to buy the new cartridge, and that costs 75 euros, more than the printer that you buy. Oh, shit, what's that? So we are not that used to life cycle costs or the running cost. All right. So if we would be more aware of that, an S.PSS model would be more acceptable for us. So we are not thinking to buy something cheap here, but we thinking about it. So in business to business, sometimes that is easier to it to happen. And in companies, I don't go into much detail about that, but companies many times they are either selling product or services, or when you have company, and I've been working consultancy in a company Kone making elevator, they have service and product. The service sector is a little bit bigger than the product in terms of income, but they don't speak to each other. They are like two diverse entities. That's really strange. And that is a company that have both. In many other, it's either a product same company or a service. And so there is a need for new corporate or business culture that is able to be designing both product or developing both product and services at the same time. And then there are other issues related to cash flow, but I don't want to speak, it's too complex. And then even on normative level or governmental level, there are some barriers because even though the European Union, for example, finance several products, they are not really normative that help product service system to be diffused. Now, for example, for the car sharing, something has been made, in fact, that help the car sharing to be diffused and so on. But there is not really a big understanding of the potential, even though scientists has been working on that. But we still need, support even from the governmental institution in terms of new law and rules for facilitating this. One thing is to offer a product, one thing is to offer products and services, one thing is to offer something that is not in the ownership, that is shared by other people. So something really still needs to be made over there. And to conclude, there is even an inertia limiting the diffusion linked to the fact that in general, and even we as designers we don't have yet all competences on designing sustainable product services. So you're making a course on this. There are courses around the world. You know, I talked to you about this LANS project. There are 90 universities worldwide to diffuse design for sustainability, and many of those are starting to have started to teach even sustainable product service system. This, before being, a consolidated discipline and really diffused, will take still some time. And this is not only design, even in other disciplines. Like maybe you're speaking about PSS. I don't know how much sustainable PSS is there inside, and I'm speaking to someone that is from managerial engineering. And this is another thing that is a bit complex. Is speaking about transition facts. Sometimes when you have radical changes, it's not enough to say, not all the time, that even though it's a win-win, I can, because there are some inertia, I can directly go from one situation to another one. It's good that there are some theories that are speaking about designing strategies to move from one business as usual to a new business model or open model. So designing the strategies or strategic plan. These are theories of innovation, system innovation, discipline and strategic management and niche management. You were aware of. Said this, because I said about some limits and some barrier, they are anyhow perceived generally. Actually, no one that is saying against that they are really the most promising business or offer model that is seen to put together environmental, socio-ethical together with the economical sustainability. This is coming from, I quoted from United Nations Environmental Program booklet.